Dear students, today I will discuss about the comparison between empirical research and analytical research. In this connection, I will be discussing three important papers. The first would be like mostly on the empirical research, testing the experiments on the different case studies of in education sector, and the rest of the two papers would be more analytical, and I would be discussing with respect to a time series. So. So today our agenda is to discuss, we will start with the introduction and then we will discuss three important research articles which I have already published, and then we will go for conclusion and question answer session. So this is a little bit about me. I did my PhD from University of Technology Malaysia in Information Security Management. I'm working in a University of Bahrain as a system professor in a business analytics program. I worked in various universities of Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Malaysia, and Bahrain. Apart from that one, I'm the reviewers of different journal and conferences. I completed 5 different research projects in Saudi Arabia. I have 70 plus research articles, and moreover, I have 2 US patents, and along with the 2 book chapters, which is published by the Springer. Usually, I travel to different conferences related to business, entrepreneurship, technology, and business analytics, specifically data science, in various countries of the world. So, the first three topics or the research article I would be discussing is the first one is the name is a shortcut we call it as a SunFit. So SunFit is a we make it as an acronym for Sustainable University Field Training Framework. Basically, this is a framework which we design to assess the performance of students who are working in industry outside after completing their bachelor's degree or before completing their bachelor degree, and then we expose the students to the outer world, to the industry, so that they could comprehend the industry and they could work. So by this way we face some difficulties because being a teacher, we need to track the students while they're working there. So the communication gap and is being like assessed through some machine learning algorithms over there. So we define some rubrics, and these rubrics are like shared between the trainer in the industry and the teacher in the academia both. Okay, the second paper is about like a stock market forecasting by using hybrid model fuzzy exponential fuzzy time series. So by this way we propose a new algorithm, or the extended algorithm, I can call it as a exponential fuzzy time series. So we will have some discussion on the fuzzy time series. And third most important thing is about like feature optimization, that how we can select certain feature for different algorithms so that the redundant features could be avoided, and we could optimize the feature. So instead of like for example 50 feature or 1000 features, we can reduce it to half or quarter, right? So we use the whale algorithm over there, and it works well. So before going into the depth of the articles, I would just like to give a reflection on the different types of research. So we have usually initially most of the researchers, they work on the descriptive researches, so which is very basic, right? And then some of the advanced researchers, they go for analytical, which where there is more mathematics involved over there, and people do research on the different data sets. Uh, some of the students they go for the applied research as well in the industry and in the medicines as well. Fundamental research is more dry kind of research where most of the people from physics or from mathematics, they go for the fundamental research where there's proof of certain problems through mathematics is done. These two kind of research is is a kind of hybrid, everywhere, and it is involved like quantitative and qualitative. Okay, so when we have pure numerical data, so we go for quantitative research. But when we don't have like pure quantitative data or numerical data, we have a textual data, then we go for the qualitatives or interviews. And sometimes some of the research they mix it together. Okay, the last one is empirical research. Empirical is from the Greek word which is called empirikos. Empirikos means like experiment. So when you get like results by performing some experiment, especially in medical field or any field which has like in which experiments can be done and you can observe the results significantly, that is called like an empirical research. So these are different kind of research, and peer researcher from all over the world, they are using it in a different connotation and context. So my research, like the one which I'll be discussing, is like mostly related to the empirical one and then analytical research. So the first one is I would consider as empirical because here we did some experiments with the portfolios of students, those who are working in the industries, and these students, like they get experience. And after experience, they are assessed based on their performances, right? So their experiences are like assessed not only by the trainer but also reassessed or like or co-assessed by the teacher in the academia as well, right? So for that one, usually we have some rubrics, and these rubrics are designed sometime internally by the university or sometime by the some accrediting body like Abbott, or for the engineering and computer science, and for business, these are assessed or as arranged or designed by AAACSB, and there are different accrediting body across the world. So here in this method, we will be using both methods, qualitative and quantitative. So what about like where we are using the qualitative aspect of this empirical research, and where we will use the quantitative aspect of this research? So in the qualitative research would be used more in a when the trainer is assessing them. So whatever the observation they are doing it, so they will write it, and they will be transformed and linked with the rubrics we assign to them. And the second is like quantitative, and this will be like assessed by the teacher by through like some like presentations or through the progress report which we received, which we take from the students. So we will link that usually. The qualitative would be like more formative, which the trainers would be doing, and the quantitative would be that more summative, which the teacher or the teacher or the academics in the academia would be doing. So in this paper, if you see over here, so we design a machine learning based framework for higher education in Imam Abdurrahman University, Dammam, and where we track that how we can track the performance of the students, right? So the problem was that the tracking was difficult, and we need to analyze some students' practical skills during their IT field training program. So usually we call as a cooperative training program in Imam Abdurrahman bin Faisal University, previously called Dammam University, in the Department of Computer Science. Okay, so what was the solution for that one? So to overcome the solution for it, then we proposed the framework, and this is more like pedagogical approach towards the mining of the students' data using the machine learning, and we integrate like measure that how we can integrate the different methods using the Abbott and our inside university. So the method was like there are different like LOs, learning outcomes, for the specific course, the training course we call it, right? So these are like the study like employed machine learning models over there, and we were continuously measuring and monitoring the international Abbott accreditation requirements, and then and these requirements were belonging to the computing measures, right, and academic data. So we had like we were like evaluating that what are the weak LOs, what are the weak learning outcomes which was not achieved, since sometimes the students have a good grades but some of the LOs are overlooked and they are not being achieved, since some LOs are very important, but sometimes it is overlooked by the trainers in the industry, and sometimes it is overlooked by the academicians in the academia. So we want to have some minimal manual intervention in that one, so that we could focus more on it by machine learning techniques. And by this way we will also reduce like a human error or portfolio errors in it. So in this case, we picked three different machine learning algorithms, and we tested it with the naive Bayes algorithm, and J48 decision tree algorithm, part algorithm, and the best performing was naive Bayes algorithm, and the result was 90.54%, while the other two they have approximately 87.83%. So, according to this framework, what we did, usually we have a course portfolio over here. If you see over here, we have a course portfolio usually, and then it is divided into the summative data and we have a formative data. And this is further divided into year-wise, and then course-wise, and then semester-wise. And after this one, we have we have divided into three kind of measurement rubrics, like introduced one, reinforced one, and emphasized one. And further one, these rubrics are further divided into the knowledge discovery, like means data mining and machine learning algorithms. Then we visualize it, and then we need to report as well. And after this one, as the flows goes, then we also go for performance indicator analysis, as well as we do in the KPIs in a different organization. So similarly, we do the performance indicators in co-op training for the student as well for undergrad. And then we have students outcome analysis, that how were the outcome, what was the input from the course instructor and what was input from industry partner. And similarly then we do continuous improvement, because the purpose of the accreditation body is to do the continuous improvement. So if you look at the Abbott, so Abbott is always looking for improvement in every cycle of the cohort. And some recommendation for the field training committee as well. So this is the framework which we were about to achieve. So now if we go further, so we need some data preparation. So as you know, that data preparation is the most difficult thing, and 80% of our efforts are spent on the data preparation. So a data set is hypothetically envisioned from the course portfolio, and which are collected from the coordinators and supervisor over the academic year in each cycle. So it is comprised, the data is comprised of 2 years. Okay, and then we divide the students into the four categories, the rubrics basically in four categories. That the rubrics which is non-existent or poor, which is 0 to 24%. The developing rubrics is from 25 to 49%, and the developed one is 50 to 74%, and exemplary are 75 to 100%. So it is comprised of formative and summative assessment. So the difference between the formative and summative is, the summative is where it is very clear to, it's more quantitative, I can say it's more quantitative, it's very clear. Formative is where you based more on the rubrics, assignments and projects, while summative is mostly quizzes and midterms and final terms. But here we don't have midterms and final terms. Here we have progress reports and presentations at the teacher side, and formative are on the trainer side. For the field training, the data from both the mentors and supervisor are average for each rubric. So we just normalize the data, we make the average of that one of the rubrics data. And since the experiments have been conducted in Weka, so we use the Weka tool. Weka is a very popular tool by the Waikato University of New Zealand. And it's a very excellent data mining tool. Most of the people, they are using the Weka for data mining. Now some people they use Python, and they use different libraries of the Python as well. But 10 years ago, people were more inclined to the Weka. So usually, some people, they divide the data into two parts. Some they do in three parts. Usually, when two parts, 70 or 30%. So we took a training 80% and testing 20%. Some people, they divide training 70%, 20% testing, and 10% validation. Whether is there any